Hi, in this video I want to go over working with type in paths and objects. Basically just dealing with some of the different tools you see in the type tool when you pop it out. So anyway, let's deal first with basic type. I'm going to just zoom in a little bit here. Okay, if you just click and let go, this is what's called point type. As you type out a line, it'll just keep going infinitely. Well, I don't know infinitely until you hit Illustrator's limit. And you can see that that type is anchored to a particular point. You can change alignment on that, and notice that it doesn't move the point, it moves the type location over the point. So this is handy if you ever need to put in a guide. I'm just pressing Command R for rulers. Let's say you draw on a guide. Now you can click on your point type and drag it over and snap it right onto a guide. And this is nice if, obviously, if you have more type that you want to insert. We'll make this left aligned. And now we can use that point text and just snap it right onto these guides. There we go. So anyway, that's the most basic is point type. Let me go ahead and just slide this off. But let's get to the more fun parts. Second kind of type with the same tool. If you click and drag out a box, now the type kind of sits inside of a text field, very similar to InDesign or Quark if you used that before. So I have some sample text I'll just dump in. Incidentally, Illustrator does not have a dummy type generator, kind of like InDesign does, where you can insert placement text. There is a website you can visit. If you Google lorem ipsum, let's see if we can find it here. Lorem ipsum. You can just use that spelling, and let's come in here and see if there's a, yeah, the lorem ipsum generator 3 is kind of nice. You open this up, you can choose what kind of type you want to have it say. You can have it just do standard lorem ipsum. You can tell it how many paragraphs, etc. You can put in random marks, 1,000 words, generate. It goes ahead and makes this Latin text, which you can then copy and come over and drop into Illustrator. So sometimes that's you know, a little nicer way of being able to get items into Illustrator and have your type look a little more random rather than just writing in junk text like I usually do. The flow is a little different. You get different line breaks. The paragraph sizes are different. So anyway, that's one nice thing to do. Now, while we're dealing with that, we have kind of this nice convenient situation. It overflowed, and how can I tell that there's more text than this box is displaying? It's right down here in the lower right. You'll notice this red plus. If I expand the text box, I had it generate 1,000 words, so it's probably gonna still show it here. But I'm just dragging this out. Notice that there's still more type in here. So text in a container like this can be flowed to another container, and that's called threaded text. If I click on my black arrow, and sometimes it's a little tricky. Yeah, you have to move up over this. So you'll notice that I first selected the box with the black arrow. Notice how my cursor looks. When I move over this little plus, my cursor is changed. If I click on it, my cursor's changed again. That just indicates that it's got overflow type. It wants to link to something. Since I haven't drawn another box, if I just click, Illustrator will automatically make another box that's similar to the one that I just had. So what is threaded text? Well, threaded text just means that the story continues between these two boxes. If I select type, the type goes between the two boxes. Think of newspapers, for example, where you have a story start on one page and it continues to another. They use threaded boxes for that all the time. Now they're working in InDesign, but the same methodology is true with Illustrator too. So threaded text is just simply linking up boxes together. Now we'll come back to this in a second because we'll do some text threading. You can do that with type on path as well. So let's continue and we'll look at that. If we pop out our type tool, you'll notice that the second type of tool there is. In fact, let me just pop this out. I'm going to tear it off by selecting this guy. Second tool up here is the area type tool. So what I'm going to do is just build a shape very quickly. I'll use the pencil. I'm going to use a trick here. While I've got the pencil down, notice that I'm holding down Option, and this will close the path when I finish drawing with the pencil. That's kind of nice. So hold Option when you're drawing with the pencil to make a closed path. You can do that with Alt on the PC as well. Okay, so I've made this path. Now, one thing that'll happen is, remember we're in preview mode, and it doesn't have a fill or a stroke. So if I happen to click away, it does disappear. So you can do a couple of things when you're working with boxes like this. You can either work in outline mode so you can see it. I'm just pressing Command Y. Or you can just keep it highlighted, or you can just apply a default fill and stroke in the meantime. In any case, I'm now going to go ahead and grab the area type tool. Now this is kind of goofy, and I don't know why Adobe's so picky about this, but if you click in the middle of a box, a shape I should say, you'll get an error message, and it just says you have to click on a non-compound, non-masking path. Illustrator's really picky that whether you're using the area type tool or just the type on the path tool, you click on the path, not in the fill area. So let me see if I can click OK. And now that I'm in over a path and I click, now I can go ahead and put in text. And you'll notice that if I just press Command V, that type flows in. Okay, common question that comes up. I've noticed that when I pasted this in, I lost my fill and stroke of the shape. Can I put that back? Yes, it's very straightforward. You just move over the shape edge. I'm using my white arrow right now, so remember white arrow is for selecting parts of things. If I click on the text itself, it selects the text shape along with the text. Notice the color here, and I could pick a different color just for the sake of it. But that's different than if I take my white arrow, move over the path, and if I come in and give the path a color, obviously that's not going to help us see the text. There you go. Now you can see that the path is a different shape from the text, and they can easily be altered and changed. You can do strokes as well. So there you go. That's how you put type inside of a path, and you also change the background color of the path. By default, Illustrator will just always convert a path's fill and stroke to none if you convert it to a type object. That brings up another point. When you're working with type objects, once you convert it to a type object, it can't go back. I mean, unless you press undo. But let's say you save the file, close it down for the night, open it up the next day and go, oh, I love that path, I really want to use it for something else. It's now a type path, and that gives it some limitations. I mean, you can color it, and you could, I guess, get rid of all the type and still color it and do those things, but you couldn't use it as part of a compound path. I don't think you can use it as a clipping mask, so there's some limitations to be aware of. If you want to use type that way, I would, or if you want to use a path and you're not sure you might use it for other things, make a copy of it and use the copy with your type, and then you've got the original. You could put it on a hidden layer. Okay, anyway, so that's type inside of an object. Let's do type on a path. I'll just go ahead and get out the pencil again. Draw a nice little path. Get the type on the path tool. Come in and click on the edge of the path, and now the type flows along the path edge. Now when I do that, I'll put in a couple spaces. If I come back with my white arrow, notice that there's some objects here that show up on the path. This guy is your left indent, and you can see the cursor changes slightly. If I slide this over, I can change where that indent is. If I move over this guy over on the right side, that's our right indent. I can click and drag that, and if I drag it too much, notice it overflows the type again. And then finally you have kind of this path controller. I wish I had a more official name for you, but you'll notice that as I drag this along, the type swings along one side. If I need to flip it to the other side of the path, just drag it to the opposite side. And now the type is upside down on that path. So those are your three controls once you have type on a path to manipulate the type. You can do type on a closed path too. So if I drag out, let's see, an ellipse, come in, click on the edge. Here's type on a closed path. And notice that since it's left aligned, it's the indent. If we come back with the white arrow, the indent is right at the top, and then the right indent's on the other end, or the other side of the path. A lot of people kind of freak out if I choose to do centered type, and I clicked on the top and I choose centered, it pops down to the bottom. Well, again, just think about it in terms of this being a left indent and a right indent. Well, then obviously it's going to center in between those indents. You can always click and drag this guy around and move it around. Now this will happen occasionally too. Notice how it's kind of goofing around on me. And it redid the indent and all of that stuff. I often recommend to people that before you start moving type on a closed path like this, open up these indents a bit. And if I make this wider, I usually will have better luck dragging it around on the path. Let's see if I can bring it around and get some better luck. Yeah, so notice in that case it works better. My only explanation for this is there's some pretty heavy math going on, I think, as this is being driven around the outer edge. And every once in a while in programming you'll have what's called a rounding error. Since these two guys are right up next to each other, my guess is that there's a slight rounding error as the calculations are being made, and every once in a while you'll get an overlap where the left indent is on the right of the right indent. That's just a guess, but I've seen it happening since CS3 or so, and that's my guess. So anyway, type on a path. You have these controls. Notice again, I'm working with the white arrow, and just be aware of how the cursor changes. So if you come in with the white arrow and you're not getting a change, make sure that you see the cursor. So you get kind of this upside down T when you have this control. And that's funny, now it jumped over to the other side. You have the different indent values on the left and the right side. And again, I can change these. And then you have those little squares too. Boy, it's definitely wanting to snap there. So when you're working with these controls, just goof around with them and get comfortable with that. These little blocks are for linking text into this path as well. So for example, let's go ahead and I'll highlight this type and get rid of it. And let's take some of that threaded type that was up here. I wonder if I can do with my white arrow. So there's always, see, when you use the white arrow, it wants to select the path edge. It won't let you choose that threaded type. I'm going to just click on this and then click right on the edge. And then it finds the path. Notice that when it finds the path, it wants to, the change switches over to a link because I've already converted this to a type path. I'm going to just click in there, and it flows that type down onto the path. And you can see here's the little symbol. It's coming down, it's threading into this box, it's going through the path, and then it's obviously overflowing out. And you can actually apply type. You can thread type between paths and then back to closed shapes again. I'll go ahead and get rid of this text. Let's choose this box again. Gotta make sure that my cursor changes, so notice how it changes when I'm over the box. Click, move over this box, and now it's gonna link into this box. So since this is already a type path, it's changed, and it's saying, hey, you want to link it to this type path, so I do, and it flows in. So you can obviously make some pretty confusing type changes. So if I come through here, watch what happens. If I edit out this line, notice how everything shifts between these two boxes as well. So this is threaded type. The other way that you can work with threaded type is you can just make a box. Let me paste in some text. Make another box. Select both of them, and then go under Type, down to Threaded Text, and choose Create. When you do that, it'll automatically thread between the boxes. Okay, so we've covered type on path, type inside of a shape, point type, the type tool just dragging out. You'll notice that there's other variations here. There's type if you want to do stacked type, so I could choose this and then automatically start making stacked type. You know, just typographically, I've got to say this, it's a bad idea. Stacked type just kind of stinks. It's hard to read. Letter forms are created to be next to each other, so it's just a difficult thing to stack type. Now, some fonts work better than others, so if you're gonna have to do that, if the design calls for it, usually what I recommend is just rotate the type. Put it, you know, make type on the side, and then just go ahead and rotate that guy around if you have to. This type is going to be something we're more used to reading, but if you have to do it, pick a font that looks good. You know, pick a font that has some weight to it, where the type will actually sit on top of each other. Okay, so if we look at something like Impact, that type is going to be a little more likely to do it, but also your letter choices have to be pretty good. Notice that there's a lot of verticals here, and when we have like the T's or I's, they just don't stand up very well. It seems unsturdy. So anyway, that's my crack against it. So you can have vertical type that's just on a path. You can have I'm sorry, just vertical type. You can have area vertical type, and you can also have vertical type on a path. There's other options too. Just goof around. You'll notice that when I have the path tool here selected, I'm sorry, the type on the path, if I come down under the type menu, there's some options for that, and you know, you can play around with these. So for instance, stair step, this won't look good at all, but you can kind of see how the type aligns on here. I wanted to do one last thing, and that was to show you kind of, again, some of the neat hidden features of using, like, let's say, a blend. If I get out our pencil tool and I just draw a path, and then let's make another path, and I select both of these strokes, I'll just go under Object, down to Blend, make it, and then Object, Blend, Options, and instead of Smooth Color, let's choose, let's just do three steps. And so far so good. It just seems like a standard design, and if I alter one of these paths on the ends, the blend in the middle updates. Okay, so good enough. Well, what happens if I want to put some type on a path, and I want the path to kind of flow in this ever-increasing wavy form? Well, this is a great use for a blend. What you do is you start with the whole blend. So I have the entire blend selected right now. Notice that both ends are selected. I'm going to just choose Object, and I'm going to expand the object. So it's no longer going to be a blend anymore. It's going to just be flat paths. Okay, so now I have 5 paths. The paths in the middle have been updated, and they're grouped together, but I could select these individually if I wanted to now. Okay, so who cares? Let's go on to the next step. I'm going to get out Type on Path, click on this first path, and let's do left aligned. Paste it in, and then I'm going to just slowly thread this text. So I'm going to come down to the next path, click, come down, click, and I'm just slowly taking this over. It's interesting that it's showing overflow. There must have been some extra returns. That's what's going on. So let's see if I click down here. I'll just press the delete key a bit. Yeah, notice that my type comes back in. So that can be a neat thing to use when you're working with type on paths, is remember that you can use the blend tool. Now obviously it gets into readability issues at some point, but I'm just trying to show you some options. So hopefully in this demonstration I've kind of gone through the different ways that you can lay down type in Illustrator. I'm also going to do a demonstration on paragraph formatting too. But let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.